producing content. It's been a blast. Twitter, Facebook, X, all that good jazz. X, I guess Twitter is X. I don't know. Let me just make sure that this is working. We're going to check the audio in a couple of moments. Let's just see how it goes. We're going to test the audio, and then I'm going to switch this to public. And we are testing. And the audio is good. All right. Let me switch this to public. And we're going to publish. Please take a moment to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I hope everybody is doing well and enjoying this 24-hour live stream. Or not live stream, 24-hour content marathon. It's not a full 24 hours straight. Rather, we are producing content on a variety of different channels over the 24-hour period, growing, within a variety of different mediums, whether it be X, Blue Sky, Twitter, Facebook, etc., Reels. So yeah, let's see who joins. Let's give it a few minutes. I did want to talk about a very important figure in Masonic history, because I did want to touch on Masonic history. Andrew Michael Ramsay, more specifically, Chevalier Andrew Michael Ramsay. He was a Scotsman, and he's a tutor to Charles Edward Stuart, Bonnie Prince Charlie, and his brother in their French exile. He joined Horn Lodge in Westminster in 1730, about the same time the third degree is being introduced. A lot of people forget Freemasonry originally did not have a third degree, which is funny because it's most Masons' favorite degree, had a first and a second. But all right, let's give it a few minutes. Let's wait to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. I got my coffee, which is very important at the moment. My nose is so big because I am very handsome, DL3. If I did not have this big nose, I would be too handsome, and I would leave no women for the rest of you. So please keep that in mind. How is it going, sir? Thank you for being here. DL, hit the like and subscribe button. Let's give it a bit of time. See who jumps on the chat to say hello. I don't want to start talking about Andrew Michael Ramsay until we see some more people joining. Usually, I find on these later streams, I get more people joining. We'll see. Night owls like me. Yes, I have a big forehead. Tomb313. Please hit like and subscribe. Danos, I would not describe myself as Christian. I believe in a supreme being, but I'm not necessarily Christian. This channel is to talk about Freemasonry and to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. I would truly, truly appreciate it. A lot of people think Freemasonry is a religion. It is not, so keep that in mind. Tomb313, I got a big gap in my teeth as well. Please hit the like and subscribe button, though. That's more important. And let's wait to see who else jumps on the chat. Who else wants to say hello? We had a great stream this morning. A lot of people joined. It was wonderful. Let's see how we're doing this evening. Again, usually these late night streams, we tend to get a ton of people finding us. So let's see how it goes. And thank you to everybody who has been part of the streams thus far. I truly appreciate it. The stream goes well, Dream. All the streams have gone well. I've been doing stuff on Twitch, on X Spaces, which went really well, on Blue Sky, on Instagram, doing some reels. It's been fun on my other YouTube channels. Well, Tomb, what do you want to know? I don't know everything, but I've been a Freemason for about 20 years. Currently a member of 5 lodges. Yes, a dream seeker. I agree. So I think you follow me on most of those sites. If you don't, you know where to find it. Square and Compass Promotions. But Tomb 313, what do you want to know specifically? I can see if I can maybe help you, at least give you some answers based on my experiences thus far. And as always, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It would be incredibly helpful to the channel. The inception, Martin Blanks, the inception of Freemasonry was not to destroy the Catholic Church. Freemasonry does not desire to destroy anything, church or otherwise. We're about building, not destroying. Fungi, hello, thank you for being here. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And I hope that you are doing well, and thank you for joining. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. Should Trump take over Greenland? I don't think so. That's a political question. So every Freemason will have his own opinion on it, but I would say no. I will take a plushie for a 100K. Well, I mean, obviously it's tomorrow at 2 p.m., but I'm not going to be doing a straight 24-hour live stream. Rather, I'm going to be producing content on a variety of platforms throughout the time period. And taking some breaks as well. So it's not a straight 24-hour time live stream. Rather, it's going over multiple platforms, doing a lot of different things. So what is the mission of Freemasonry? Every Freemasonry is not a tool of Lucifer. Every Freemason needs to define his mission or her mission for themselves, right? For me, the mission of Freemasonry is to build a better world through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. And that's something I'm very proud of. But every Mason may define the mission differently, which is okay. Right? No two Masons will have the same mission. In the same way, no two people within any society will have the exact same, or community group will have the exact same mission. The beautiful thing is we are tolerant of different opinions. I love mushrooms. Is that where the name fungi comes from, or fungi? I love mushrooms. I think they're very underrated and very underappreciated. Bambi, we are talking about one secret society, Freemasonry, which is not even a secret society because, excuse me, here I am talking about it. But Bambi, please hit like and subscribe. I mean, good for you. If it's something you're passionate about, fungi, then more power to you. I think if we can find our passion, whatever it is, then we should pursue that. And if your passion is teaching mushroom culture, then more power to you. I wish nothing but the best of luck for you. But I am a human, NSA. I promise you, I am a human. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Well, the degrees in Freemasonry, it depends on which degrees or to which degrees you are referring. If you're talking about the first 3 degrees, it's a progressive science. It's meant to mimic the stone Masonic guilds of the Middle Ages and the idea of growing in skill and ability, right? You start off as an apprentice, then you become a fellow craft, then you become a master, otherwise known as you start off as a student, then you become a worker, then you become a teacher. There's also metaphorical, lessons about childhood through to adulthood therein. After that, primarily the purpose of the degrees is to impart different perspectives on Freemasonry. I wouldn't say lessons, but different perspectives. Not every perspective is going to be, everybody will take every perspective the same way. Well, don't overthrow anybody, including the government. No overthrowing of anything. I am not a religious person, Blarney Stone. Please hit like and subscribe. But I do believe in a supreme being. Honestly, Noah, that's up to every Mason to decide. Freemason is not political. Many different Masons will have many different views on who their ideal candidate for president is in 2028. Freemasonry is or are the Jedi. And the anti-Masons are the Sith. Bambi, that's the best I can do to describe Freemasonry. Freemasons do not run the government. Most Freemasons can barely run their own lodges, let alone quote unquote running the government. So let's just calm down with that. Freemasonry is not a political organization, so you need to remember that and keep that in mind. I'm going to be talking at some point about Masonic history, but for now, let's see who joins, who jumps in the chat, who wants to say hello. That is true. Many politicians or political figures throughout history have been Freemasons. By the same token, many janitors have been Freemasons. Um, it's not specific to any type of profession, be it political or otherwise. I don't know what you mean by will Freemasons fight AI. I think Freemasonry encourages human connection, and AI has a tendency to push against human connection, but I don't know if I would call that fighting against AI. Maybe another way to put it is putting a bulwark against it. Um, might be another way to view it. It's interesting. I've written a few articles on Medium talking about Freemasonry and artificial intelligence and how I think AI will affect Freemasonry. I think we also have to know what Freemasonry is saying about us because a lot of people are learning about things not through Google, but through AI. I mean, I'm not a believer in the theories around the assassination of JFK. I think the most likely explanation is the true one, which is JFK was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald. We are not a political group. There are Masons of all different political beliefs, left wing, right wing, and anything in between. We have no idea what JFK was or was not going to do, but I have no, like I said, I'm not one who believes in conspiracy theories. I tend to think it's all nonsense. Um, I tend to think he was just assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald. But of course, that is what I would say if I was hiding secret knowledge. So it's not about inviting Bambi. You don't get invited. You have to express an interest in joining and approach the lodge. Yes, you have to believe in a supreme being, Drumpy 3939. To my knowledge, Christians definitely believe in a supreme being. So certainly, and I've known many Christian Freemasons over the years. Please take a moment, Drumple, to hit the like and subscribe button if you've not done so already. Well, I think the term might have been, but it's a term that I think is fairly accurate. It describes people who look for connections that are not there as a way to feel in control of their own lives. Well, there's no such thing as a Freemason store, no name. What you do is you don't walk into, you walk to a Masonic building or send them an email or send them a carrier pigeon and knock on the door and express your interest in joining, and you go from there. I'm a caged Mason. That's pretty funny. The Waits experience, why am I not surprised that you think we never went to the moon? We did go to the moon, I'm comfortable saying. Buzz Aldrin was a Mason and a astronaut. It's not $6, no name. There is usually initiation fees and dues. However, it's not set at a specific price. It depends on the lodge. I know some lodges are as little as $25 per month. Others are as much as a little as $25 per year. Others are as much as $250 per year with a fee on top. But don't worry about the money at first because some lodges do have ways that they'll forgive dues or provide charity. At the start, what you need to do is just express your interest and go from there. There was a Freemason on the moon. His name was Buzz Aldrin. In fact, I am a member of Tranquility Lodge 2000 out of Texas, which is named after Tranquility Valley, where the moon lander landed, basically. I think it's called the lunar module landed, Tranquility Valley. What I am, Sean, is a very handsome Freemason and a Mason asking you to hit the like and subscribe button to help me turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. Well, I'm glad to see Masons volunteering at the local food bank. Good for them. Oh, Blarney Stone. I was thinking you're Irish with a name like that. Although, I guess Massachusetts, there's a lot of Irish in Boston, my understanding. Very cool. Yeah, somebody did say it cost $6. I have no idea where that comes from. My assumption is it comes from The Rock, because doesn't he have like $6 production company, which is how much money he had in his pocket when he left the CFL? I'm pretty sure. There There are many old Masonic lodges and Masonic buildings around the world, including, I'm sure, in Massachusetts. Boston was the home of the very first American Freemason, if I recall correctly, though I forget his name now. Well, I like to think I'm the real deal. Whether I am or not, I guess other people need to decide. But I like to think of myself as being the quote unquote real deal. And thank you, everybody who's been here. I'm not a theologian, nor am I a biblical scholar, John, so I don't have any thoughts on it. I'm not a Christian. Having said that, I don't know what happened. To be a Freemason, you need to believe in a supreme being, not a particular religious belief. How many degree Freemason are you? War is stupid. You know what's stupid? Not hitting the like and subscribe button. I am a third degree Master Mason, which is the most important degree in Freemasonry. I'm also, and the highest degree in Freemasonry, I'm also 18th degree Scottish Rite. We don't keep everything secret. We tell a lot about Freemasonry. Look at me here talking about it. What drew me to Freemasonry? My parents, my dad in particular, he was a Freemason. He is a Freemason. And his father and my grandfather on my mom's side were both Freemasons. And as a consequence of that, I kind of always assumed I would join. And when I did join, I found out I loved it. And the rest is kind of history. That's because it is not satanic, John. That's not a secret. That's a lie. Do I believe in historic events? I mean, by definition, if it's a historic event, I believe in it. Now, do I believe every historic event has been accurately reported? I do not, because you have to take into account the biases of the writers, not necessarily the victors, because not everybody who had a victory wrote it down. But even if the losers of the battle, of the historical event, record it, they're probably going to record it in a biased way against the victors, right? So the point is, I believe in historical events. My question is always the accuracy of the recording, right? Like, I'm sure there was an event that we could understand to be the Trojan War, but how accurate is the Iliad? That's gets questionable. Well, right now I'm not, because I'm getting questions about it that are not on the chat, that aren't about Freemasonry. And so it's kind of fun to talk about these things as well. We do not, the way it's experienced, that is very incorrect. We do not call ourselves Freemasons because we're free from sin. I'm sure we're not free from sin or imperfection. I'm certainly am not free from sin. The term Freemason comes from two possibilities. Either A, the ability of a stonemason to travel for work. He was free to travel from land to land and take work in different job sites. He was a journeyman, basically. And that's where his freedom of movement came from. Or free refers to a type of stone called freestone, which was limestone that was used by stonemasons. Well, I appreciate leaving a like. That's very kind of you. So the way it's experienced, you are incorrect. Well, I mean, eyewitness accounts, even of several hundred people, can be incorrect. I mean, if it's going to be something supernatural in nature, it would take a lot for me to believe it. Having said that, I keep an open mind. I don't want to be a reviler of anyone's religious beliefs. Carl, I'm handsome. That's what matters. And because I'm a Freemason, it doesn't matter whether I'm LGBT or not. I'm a Freemason and proud of it. Well, it's not rank. Again, I don't like the term rank. I'm a third degree Master Mason. I'm 18th degree Scottish Rite. And I'm the Worshipful Master of Border Cities Lodge, number 554. I don't have superiors. I'm a superior in Freemasonry. So, Abdul, I mean, I don't join Islam because I'm not one for religion necessarily, but I have great respect for Islam, as I do for Christianity and Judaism and all different types of faiths. Jesus was not a Freemason. Freemasonry did not exist until earliest 1634, so about 1,600 years after the death of Jesus. Magic, you can be gay and join the Freemasons. You can be straight and join the Freemasons as well. Freemasonry does not discriminate based on sexual orientation. It is an organization of tolerance. And we do not run the country. Freemasonry is not about running anything. We're not political in that sense. I've read parts of the Quran, but it's been a while. I'm trying to become more familiar with different faiths to be respectful of my brethren and their beliefs. What does it take to be a Freemason? Asks Grand. You have to be an adult, usually over 18 or 21, depending on the jurisdiction. You have to believe in a supreme being, and you have to approach the Masonic Lodge and express an interest. That's the three things at the start. After that, you kind of take it from there. But that's what you need to do to start the process anyways. Well, Napoleon, I don't know if he was a Mason or not. His brother-in-law was a Mason, if I recall correctly, and he had family members who were Freemasons. He was certainly supportive of Freemasonry, but that doesn't mean he was a Freemason. But even if he was, being a Freemason, that doesn't mean you run the country. That's just an attribute of who you are. Do we have debates at the lodge? Dr. Long Arms, I hope your arms are long enough to hit the like and subscribe button. I mean, I don't know what the building of antiquity that were dug out of the ground. I know that stonemasons had quarries where they removed stone from the ground, including, free limestone. Magic, we can have debates at the lodge about, if one Mason wants to, I don't know, spend $500 holding a social function and another wants to spend that money on repairs to the building. Masons will have different ideas about how they want to proceed with the administration and the preservation of the Masonic Lodge. But the beautiful thing about Freemasonry, and if you're a Freemason, you do develop skills in conflict resolution, is you learn how to deal with these things and deal with debates, sufficiently successfully. You learn how to moderate, and you learn about the value of democracy, in that if there is a debate, two brethren can have this debate about Freemasonry, about how to proceed. It goes to a vote, and there's no hard feelings when it's done. It has been a minute, Jason. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. Well, the problem is, with everything you said, Freemasonry is not a religion of any sort, and there is no satanic tinge to it. I don't believe Joseph Stalin was a Freemason. I'm almost positive he wasn't. Is there free from the moral blocks of a man, meaning they can... No, it's either literally free in that it's the ability to travel from place to place as a journeyman, or it's metaphor for free stone. We do not. I do not know what this hidden hand symbol is to which you refer, right? And this isn't a Masonic thing per se, but there are many different organizations and groups that place a hand over one's heart, like if you're swearing allegiance to the flag, for example, but that's not a hidden hand, so I'm not sure to which you are referring. Freemasonry is not Judaism for Gentiles. Freemasonry is not Judaic. It borrowed a lot of things from Judaism, but it also borrowed a lot of things from Christianity, Islam, architectural kind of teachings, architectural projects. It borrowed a lot of things from stone masonry, primarily, Chinese mythology even. It's not a religious or ethnic organization. It's a civic or community group. We have Jewish members, Muslim members, Christian members, etc., etc. I've never spoken Old Latin in the Masonic Lodge, but I'd like to. That'd be really fun. I've never seen, when you say devil horns, this is my assumption, you mean either this or this. I've never seen those in a Masonic Lodge, but to my knowledge, that's what devil horns are. Albert Pike first of all, he didn't say we were Satanists. He was closer to a Luciferian than anything else. Albert Pike was one dude who wrote a book which is basically his views or his philosophies on Freemasonry. It doesn't represent Freemasonry itself. He viewed Lucifer as separate from the biblical angel that was fallen, right? He basically viewed Lucifer as the snake in the garden, almost like a Prometheus type of figure, who provided knowledge to man. He had to be careful because the knowledge could be blinding to foolish people. It could be too much for them. But he viewed that as a separate entity from the angel. Um, so when he's talking about that in his section, he's basically saying it's about the worship of knowledge. However, again, he was speaking for himself and his interpretation, right? It does not actually, for most Freemasons, moral and dogma is completely irrelevant to their Masonic journey. It's no different than this stream. I can say my views on Freemasonry. That doesn't mean it is Freemasonry. It means it's my views on it. Um, well, Luciferianism is different than Satanism, right? Luciferianism, to my knowledge, now Albert Pike was not exclusively that. He also had Christian beliefs, Hermetic beliefs, but the this idea of Luciferianism, it's basically this idea that this snake in the garden was not actually the biblical Satan, but was a different entity. And what's fascinating, I'm not a religious scholar, so take everything I'm saying with a massive grain of salt. There's no actual source that ever said the serpent in the garden was in fact Satan. It's only later interpretations that assigned that. They don't get enough love. I mean, stonemasons, you could argue the history of humanity is the history of stonemasons. It was our ancient human ancestors who evolved the ability to create stone tools and build stone tools that allowed us to improve our diet, to evolve. It's stone. The history of man is intertwined with the history of stone. So when we as Freemasons talk about stone being so important metaphorically, we're onto something there. We're onto something with that, metaphorically at least. I do not know what the demiurge is, Dr. Long Arms. Well, none of that is true. I do not know what you were referring to there. Freemasons are metaphorical brothers. We're not blood brothers. We're not siblings. There are some gay Freemasons. There are straight Freemasons. Freemasonry does not discriminate based on religion or based on sexual orientations. I've never heard of any Hollywood singers joining Freemasonry and becoming Satanists. So that's some baloney as well. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard the term demiurge before. That sounds to me like something from Stranger Things, to be honest. Honestly, Dillis Pillar, you don't know anything about Freemasonry. I'm very sorry to tell you, but anything you think you know has been a bunch of baloney. Define so many, right? So one of the things I've noticed, the Waits experience, is very often conspiracy theories will use terms like so many, a lot, a bunch. They'll say something like so many presidents were Freemasons. But the problem is so many doesn't mean anything. At most 33% of US presidents were Freemasons. Is that a lot? Is that so many? What do you mean by that? I know a couple of famous people who are Freemasons, but not many. Shaquille O'Neal, Brad Paisley. Those are the two I can think of off the top of my head. I am shaped like this, and I am alive. Debate for everything. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Drumple. The demiurge comes from the word for craftsman. Hand over heart is a symbol that just exists outside of the world, right? It's everywhere. Or in the world, I should say. It's very common. It's what you do when you're taking an oath. No, 15 out of 45 presidents were Freemasons. 45 individuals. There have been 47 presidential terms and 45 presidents. The first Masonic president was George Washington. followed by, well, there is no Masonic symbol that involves money, I'll tell you that. Um, was George Washington. The most recent was Joe Biden, although that's debatable. Some would argue he's not a Mason. I go back and forth on it myself, but I tend to give the benefit of the doubt to he is a Freemason. I used to know the list of Masonic presidents, but I don't anymore. Hello, Mr. Keeps. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the stuff on X. Why is you all's the dollar bill was the designer was not a Freemason to my knowledge. The all-seeing eye, the pyramid, that's not an exclusively Masonic symbol. That's a symbol that pops up in many cultures. Well, it's not okay to deceive or to lie. You should not be doing either, right? If you can't tell somebody something, you should simply tell them, I cannot tell you that, or I will not tell you that. Now, there might be a few occasional times when deception is allowable. For example, if you are, again, the classic example, Nazi Germany, you're hiding Jewish people from the Nazis. I think it's reasonable to lie in that circumstance if they ask you if you're hiding any Jewish people or to deceive. But Kant would actually disagree. Kant has a very interesting view on it. E pluribus unum, is that the Latin on the dollar bill? Oh, Dillis, you've got some weird ideas happening. So, by the way, I did want to talk about on this stream at some point. Everybody watching this, please hit the like and subscribe. I did want to talk at some point, by the way, about a very important figure in Masonic history. The reason that I'm talking about Masonic history is it is I did a poll on my Patreon asking people, asking my Patreon membership, excuse me, what they wanted me to talk about during this 24-hour content marathon. And they voted on Masonic history. And I decided to talk about Masonic history between 1717 and 1800 because that's a very fascinating time in Freemasonry, including bringing in a rapid expansion of Freemasonry, the development of the third degree in Freemasonry, and the beginnings of the Scottish Rite and the York Rite. Truth, I will answer your question once I'm done discussing Andrew Michael Ramsey. Donald Trump is not a Freemason, Truth. At least to my knowledge, Donald Trump is not a Freemason. Good day, Dylan. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well, and thank you for joining. Freemasonry is not about witchcraft, nor is it about any of that stuff. We did not stop stonemasonry, Dylan. Stonemasonry still exists. By the way, Dylan Veloka, please hit the like and subscribe button. I mean, stonemasonry still exists. Stonemasonry is a profession. Freemasonry is a social club. So I'm going to talk about Ramsey's oration. I'd like to learn the stone part as well, but I don't have any skills in that, which dates to 1737, right? So, and published in 1741, excuse me. Chevalier Andrew Michael Ramsey, he was a Scotsman. He was tutor to Charles Edward Stuart, Bonnie Prince Charlie, and his brother while they were in exile in France. Ramsey joined Horn Lodge in Westminster in 1730, about the same time the third degree was being introduced. In 1737, he was the Grand Order of a Masonic body in Paris and gave an oration apparently as part of the initiation of new members. It is famous because it contains in one place most of the major components of the high degrees. There is no element to Freemasonry that is sinister in my experience, excuse me. So the oration came in 1737. It was published in 1741, and this is a part of the oration. Our ancestors, through crusaders, gathered together from all parts of Christendom in the Holy Land, desired thus to reunite into one sole fraternity the individuals of all nations. Our founders were not simple workers in stone, nor yet curious geniuses. They were not only skilled architects, engaged in the construction of material temples, but also religious and warrior princes who designed to enliven, edify, and protect the living temples of the Most High. King Solomon wrote hieroglyphic characters or statues, our maxims, and our mysteries. And this ancient book is the original code of our order. After the destruction of the first temple, the great Cyrus appointed Zerubbabel as the Grand Master of the Lodge, Jerusalem, and instructed him to lay the foundation of the second temple, where the mysterious book of Solomon was deposited. There you go, Mr. Keeps. But you should be resting and relaxing as well. This book was lost until the time of the Crusades, when a part of it was rediscovered after the relief of Jerusalem. The kings, princes, and lords returned from Palestine to their own lands and there established diverse lodges. By degrees, our lodges and our rights were neglected in most places. Nevertheless, it preserved its splendor among those Scotsmen to whom the kings of France confided during many centuries the safeguards of their royal persons. Eventually, Ramsay's Crusaders morphed into the Knights Templar, and then the theory of Masonic descent from the Templars grafted itself onto Freemasonry. There is, of course, a chicken or the egg argument here. Which came first, Ramsay's oration or the theory of Templar descent? In the absence of the slightest hint of any knightly connection with Freemasonry before 1737, the nod must go to Ramsay's oration. So, Alex Jones, Butters, please hit like and subscribe, is full of baloney. He doesn't know what he's talking about on most things, including when it comes to Freemasonry. Anton LaVey was an effing idiot, in fact, who, basically created a scam, which a lot of people, including the Catholic Church, fell for. Well, the Zionists can believe whatever they want. Freemasonry is not a political movement, which Zionism is, nor is it religious, etc., etc. Truth, I am an 18th degree Scottish Rite Freemason. I've done my research, though, and I've been to over 1,000 Masonic events all around the world, in the Philippines, in Bogota, Colombia, in Rio de Janeiro, in Scotland, in England, and many other places. There is no top of Freemasonry, Truth, in the way you think. The top of Freemasonry is the 3rd degree. That is the highest degree in Freemasonry. So let me ask you this. What powers or influence do the 33rd degrees have? Do they get extra votes in Lodge? Do they have the ability to dictate Lodge policy or Masonic policy? It's an honorific, nothing more. And we are definitely not reptilian hybrids. At least I don't think I'm a reptilian hybrid, but then again, what do I know? So the key thing with Chevalier, again, it was between the period of 1717 and 1800 that many things within Freemasonry developed. The development of the 3rd degree, the expansion of Freemasonry into Europe, especially France, the foundation of Scottish Rite and York Rite Masonry. And much of that, in both Scottish Rite and York Rite, he mentioned the term Zerubbabel, which is actually important within Scottish Rite Masonry, came from a oration this gentleman, Ramsay, gave to new initiates, in which he claimed that Freemasonry actually evolved from Templars returning to France and Scotland and sharing the secrets that they had learned with stonemasons. However, aside from his oration, there's no evidence of connections between Freemasonry and between Freemasonry and the Templars. I'm rather a believer in the grafting theory. Basically, Chevalier, Andrew Michael Ramsay, I believe that he was looking to history to find moral lessons to impart upon the initiates and use the story of the Templars to impart those moral lessons, even though there's no direct interpretation. It's the same way, or direct connection. It's the same way Americans use ancient Rome as a guide for governance. They have the Senate, they have all these different kind of Roman-esque features to their government, but it's not as though the Romans gave their knowledge directly to America. Rather, Americans, when developing their governance, looked back to Rome for guidance and instruction. Yes, the night of Chevrolet, Pontiac, and Geo Metro. Um, well, your theories are nonsense, is the issue. We did not steal anything from Egypt. We borrowed many symbols and symbolism from ancient Egypt. A lot of mystical theories and mystical, like Egyptian mysticism, definitely made its way into Freemasonry because at the time, again in the 17 and 1800s, ancient Egypt was crazy popular amongst kind of the nobility of the time. It was a time of going to Egypt on, the nice way to say it would be historical expeditions. The not so nice way to say it would be grave robbing expeditions. I mean, you can have a weird idea that is out there in the world. Being out there in the world does not automatically make it a weird idea. Also, this is why I think, because of Andrew Michael Ramsay, even though he was a Scotsman, he was in France, a tutor to a prince in exile in France. So when people talk about Scottish Rite coming from France, this is part of the reason for it, to my understanding. So Dr. Longarms, if I were to summarize the core of Freemasonry, I would say for me, the core of Freemasonry is the belief that the world can be made better through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. The benefits of joining, again, everybody has different benefits. For me, the benefits are I get to feel closer to my grandfather, who was a Freemason and who passed away before I was born. I get to feel closer to my family, and I get to be in a privileged position to try to help others. Other people get other benefits from it. There is no single reason or single benefit to being a Freemason. Rather, every Mason finds their own benefits. Well, maybe you should buy it, Harry Hawk. You can buy it and you can, reinvigorate it. It always sucks when Masonic buildings are up for sale. I'm always sad about that. My hope is whomever purchases it maintains at least some of the Masonic features therein. So some people may have that theory, Dillis. Others have the theory that the serpent is a different entity entirely from the angel, the fallen angel. Some view them as the same. Everybody has their beliefs. I don't want to say which is correct because I have no idea. I'm not a theologian. I'm not a biblical scholar. I am none of those things. So I never want to say which one I think might be correct or incorrect. Well, some may say that. I would not describe Freemasonry as being all about knowledge. Steve Jobs is not a Freemason, but Steve Wozniak is a Freemason, interestingly enough. I really like the movie Steve Jobs, and it's been my hope for the last little bit to one day get Steve Wozniak on a podcast episode. So far, no luck, but it's absolutely on my list. Freemasonry is not a religion. Truth, Freemasonry is a civic or community organization. It occupies a completely different space than religion or religious understandings. Well, that's good, Harry Hawk. I was just kidding, but I mean, if you do, that'd be wonderful. And maybe you could be on the stream to talk about, why you purchased it, why you also plan to restore the original works, what is important to you. We do not have the Shroud of Turin. I do not know for sure what that is. but I don't believe. I've never heard of it. I don't know to what you are referring. Oh, it's the shroud that supposedly ha has the image of Jesus, right? That's the Shroud of Turin, correct? We do not. Oh, I wish we had the room temperature room. I love the Community reference. That's one of my favorite TV shows. I kind of stopped watching it. I haven't watched any reruns in forever, but it was a great show. Um, it took me a second, but I'm here nonetheless. Teenagers, my 122, please hit like and subscribe. Okay, that I thought it was. It took me a second. I was trying to remember. Um, I think we know who has it, right? Like, isn't it in a museum somewhere? Because I've seen videos and documentaries about it. Well, they were paid in, I mean, some were slaves, some were paid in corn, wine, and oil. It just depends on kind of the social caste or the social system. They all had different kind of I don't know what the word is. It depended on your social station. But I have no doubt some were slaves. I have no doubt many were slaves. Um, okay, again, I have heard of it, and I think I saw some documentaries about it, but I don't know enough to say. Right, Freemasonry is not holding on to religious artifacts, though, or anything like that, right? So that's not what we're about. Again, you keep saying that. I guess I disagree with the premise of your question. Um, which Freemasons are in which powerful positions? I mean, Donald Trump is not a Freemason. Mark Carney, to my knowledge, is not a Freemason. Who are these powerful Masons in these powerful positions? Because I'm not aware of any such things. I mean, there are some Masons who are politicians, I'm sure. I've known a mayor who was a Freemason. I've known some city councilors who were Freemasons. That's really as far as it goes. Trump is not a Freemason, at least to my knowledge. Donald Trump is not a Freemason. And I don't believe he is. Um, but this idea of powerful, right? This idea of Freemasons being powerful, like being in positions of power, is baloney. And if anybody tells you that Freemasons are to become a Freemason, you'll become rich, powerful, successful, famous, that is simply not the case. And you're not gonna have any success with that. So, anyways, that's a little bit of Masonic history I gave. Again, my Patreons wanted me to touch on Masonic history. I thought this was a really fascinating. He was not, to my knowledge, a really fascinating bit of history. It's really cool because Andrew Michael Ramsay is actually a really fascinating character, right? He was a Scottish-born writer who lived most of his adult life in France. He was a Freemason, became one in 1730. A speech he gave in 1736 in France is considered one of the founding texts of Freemasonry in general and of the French Masonic tradition in particular. Masonry isn't as strong as it once was, but hopefully we can turn that around. Orange Sunrise, please hit the like and subscribe button. People keep telling me about the one eye symbolism, but I don't know to what that refers. Dillis, you need to calm down a little bit. Uncle Cracker is correct. The secret is there are no secrets. Right? That's the biggest secret. Everybody thinks there's these major, crazy secrets. That's not how it works. That's not how it operates. I don't think there's any treasure buried in Oak Island. If there was, we would have found it by now. Or not say we, they. I mean, it's been what? How many seasons has it been so far? of Oak Island and we still haven't found anything. I cannot imagine it actually, there's any, treasure buried there for whatever it's worth. It's true, but keep in mind, Uncle Cracker, you're not going to know what's true and what's not, right? If you're not a Freemason. That's the danger, right? People will say, well, if you get all the information on Google, what's the big deal? You don't always know unless you're a Mason what is legit and what is not legit. So you need to keep that in mind. Um, and if you want to know the quote unquote secrets, join Freemasonry. Um, all I all right of a leader of cola. I like that name. A leader of cola. I'm assuming you got that from what, Super Troopers? Is that what it's called? Please hit the like and subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Hey, no Freemason knows everything about Freemasonry. Any Freemason who tells you he knows everything is full of baloney. You can know a lot, but you should always be willing to study more. You should always be willing to learn more, and always be open to learning more. That is true because the 33rd is not that important within Freemasonry. What matters are the first 3 degrees. That's what you need. It's Becky. Am I a Swiftie? If you hit the like and subscribe button, I'll be a Swiftie. Actually, I do like Taylor Swift. Even if you don't hit the like and subscribe button, I do like Taylor Swift. My grandpa was a Freemason, never spoke a word of it. A lot of people, I don't know how old you are, but a lot of grandfathers from back in the day, they were themselves Freemasons, but they never talked about it. It was a different time. For whatever reason, it was much less common to speak about it with your family. Thankfully, that's changing, and that's a good thing. It needs to change. Um, what I am is handsome. Whether I'm gay or not does not matter to me being a Freemason, because Freemasonry does not discriminate based on sexual orientation. I've known gay Freemasons and straight Freemasons. They told me plenty of information. How much you know depends on how active you are and how much you pay attention. Um, I don't think there is such a thing as a gay accent. Well, certainly parts of Freemasonry are, I wouldn't use the term compartmentalized, but are progressive. So if I'm an entered apprentice, I'm not going to know the secrets of the fellow craft. If I'm a fellow craft, I'm not going to know the secrets of Master Mason. You're meant to progress or get different perspectives, right? There's 2 ways to create bonds: shared experience or shared knowledge. Freemasonry creates bonds through both shared experiences and the shared knowledge of the rituals and of the degrees. Um, I do not know much about Scientology, a leader of Cola. Uh, to my knowledge, it is a religion. It is, they believe in a supreme being. So as a consequence of that, they'd be welcome to join Freemasonry. Well, there's a few different reasons, Tribe. First of all, historically, there have been times when Freemasonry has been targeted by the Nazis, for example, and other groups. And so as a consequence, in parts of Europe, it was dangerous to talk about being a Mason. The other reason is the protection of the third space. And actually, it's really interesting. Some sociologists have talked about this, not within Freemasonry, but just in general. This idea of having a third space, this idea that throughout most of history, men had a third space. They had their workspace where they went to work, they had their family life, and then they had a third space where they could go to kind of focus on themselves and be away from all of the stresses that came from the other parts of their life. And Freemasonry was kind of that. And so there was this idea of like, we don't talk about it outside of lodge because this is my space, kind of like having a man cave. And some Freemasons took kind of this idea of being a secret society literally, foolishly, but literally as well. Um, I am a Freemason. I've been a Freemason since 2007, so almost 20 years. I don't know if Freemasons like the color blue. We have blue lodges. We call it Blue Lodge. I don't actually know where that term came from. But yeah, we have. I like all the colors. My favorite color is actually pink. I am not a Shriner. Are you a subscriber, a leader of Cola? That's the better question. Um, oh, asking Cracker. Um, I do hope if you are hanging out here, you're hitting that like and subscribe button. Thank you, everybody, for being part of this 24-hour content marathon. What I'm doing for this 24-hour content marathon is I'm not sticking to a single stream or sticking to a single location or single channel. Rather, I'm bouncing around. It's been a lot of fun. I did some stuff on Twitch. I did some stuff on X. I'm doing some stuff here. I've done some stuff on Blue Sky, Facebook Reels. It's been a blast. I've been really enjoying it. Thank you. No, it's been really fun. And I appreciate everybody who's been helping me make this a success. Um, you want to do a super chat? 99 cents. Like, subscribe, comment, etc., etc. Let's have nobody rotting anything with their eyes. I did not have to ever sell my soul to Freemasonry based on my knowledge. My soul is perfectly fine. And perfectly, my soul is doing just great. So no worries there. At least I think my soul is doing great. Seems to be doing pretty well. But thank you everybody for being here. Please don't forget, take a moment to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and thank you everybody for being here. We're just going to hang out for a bit longer. I'm going to keep this stream going before switching over and finding, I have a couple different ideas for some new streams. Blue Lodge does not mean pagan. There are, Freemasonry, we're encouraged for the liberal arts and sciences, including astronomy. But that's not what it means. And whether you think Freemasonry makes good men better or not, what I would say is that is up to the individual. The man makes the Mason doesn't make the man. Right? You need to always keep that in mind. Right? One of the biggest mistakes we can make within Freemasonry is this belief that somehow being a Mason automatically will make you a quote-unquote better man. It's not how it works. You need to put in the work. It's no different than being a member of a gym. If you want to be a member of a gym and get in better shape, you need to actually show up and do the work. It's render, man. Freemasonry is a community or a civic organization that has existed for, about over 300 years. It evolved from stonemasonry guilds in the Middle Ages. So think civic organization or community organization. Dillis, I think that the truth that you believe is incorrect. It's Renderman. Please hit like and subscribe. Thank you for being here. So Freemasonry, again, it's a community group. It's a civic organization that evolved from stonemasonry guilds in the Middle Ages, in the 15th and 16th centuries. So that is what it is. Every Freemason has his own concept of God. That's the point. To be a Freemason, you must believe in a supreme being. However, the nature of that supreme being is up to each individual Mason. And I've known many Masons who, their concept of God is Christian, or it could be Jewish or Muslim or whatever it might be. I do not know what it means to worship the accuser. I know what Stockholm Syndrome is. We don't worship any accusers or anything. Freemasonry is not a religion, so it's not about worship, right? Well, you got to join if you're interested, but he definitely is telling a good amount. Well, there you go. I mean, at the end of the day, joining Freemasonry will always be a leap of faith, at least to a certain extent. You have a responsibility to, I can tell you some things, but I'm not going to tell you everything. I'm not going to tell you the rituals. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to ruin the experience of going through a degree. You have to choose to join, taking a bit of a leap of faith. I'm a bit of a scientist myself. When you say I know a thing or two about masonry myself, it makes me think of Spider-Man, where William Dafoe says, I'm a bit of a scientist myself. Um, Sefthi, I have never been told not to worship Jesus. I've never heard a single Mason be told not to worship Jesus. What at the end of the day, we as Freemasons are free to worship based on whatever religious beliefs we have. Um, you can join if you are a low net worth individual or a high net worth individual. I don't know, Dillis. I never think about in terms of getting exiled. I, reveal what I feel is appropriate to reveal based on my experiences and my knowledge of Freemasonry. And that's good enough for me. So, I don't think about it in those terms. I do what I think is best and we go from there, which is all you can do at the end of the day, right? You have to rely on your own. One of the best quotes or like ideas I ever heard. It was from Kingdom of Heaven, which is a great movie. King Baldwin is talking to Orlando Bloom's character, and King Baldwin says and points out, look, a king can order you to do something, or somebody who is your superior can order you to do something, or someone can try to make you do something, or tell you you have to do something, or you don't have to, whatever it is. You can be told whatever you want to be told. At the end of the day, you're still responsible for your actions and you're still responsible for doing what you think is right. So you can't just rely upon quote unquote you cannot just rely upon what others tell you is right. You need to be answerable to yourself and to your supreme being. So this idea of, will I be exiled from Freemasonry? It's not my concern. I do what I think is best based on my experiences. And if that ruffles people the wrong way, then so be it. At the end of the day, I'm answerable to myself. Yes, King Baldwin is talking to the blacksmith. Do you like that movie? Rondo, have you seen it before? I think it's a really good movie. A little bit Masonic in its way. Again, Freemasonry is not really connected to the Crusades, except after the fact, grafting it on. But there's still this idea. That is not true, I don't think, Dillis. I mean, I've read the Steve Jobs biography, but I don't believe that's the case. I can't recall for sure, to be fair. So I could be wrong about that, but I don't think that's the case. Um, but it's been so long since I read that biography, I don't know. I could be wrong. Oh, well, then there you go. So you definitely have seen it then. It's a good movie. I got Disney Plus, and so I watched it, and I liked it a lot. And I liked that one scene, and I think that's a scene when they're talking about moving the chess pieces that everybody needs to think about, because how easy is it for us to say sometimes when we find ourselves in a tough spot or made mistakes, we were told to do so or ordered to do so. At the end of the day, we are all responsible for ourselves. And that's the end of it. Um, well, I think I'm to be trusted. Whether you want to trust me or not is completely up to you, the Waits experience. Um, well, the book has some relationships to Freemasonry, but the Masonic book that Dan Brown wrote was actually, I'm coming back, don't worry, I'm not going too far. Um, this one. The Lost Symbol by Dan Brown. Um, which this is his book that has the Masonic connections to it. Um, well, let's not be murdering anyone, Dillis. Let's not do that, Jesus or otherwise. I do not know that Jay-Z reference. I like Jay-Z. I like Hard Knock Life. That's such a good song. I also really, really loved Run This Town, although Kanye West has lost his mind. I was born this way. I was born missing my legs. So I used to use artificial limbs when I was really young, but I preferred wheelchairs. So Jay-Z is not a Freemason to my knowledge. There's apparently a picture of him taken at a Prince Hall, I believe it was a Prince Hall funeral or Prince Hall event of some sort. Um, but yeah, he's not a Freemason to my knowledge. Again, a lot of them are Freemasons, define a lot. I've known maybe a couple, or I don't know them personally, but I've been told and seen evidence that a couple are Freemasons, but that's it. I would be very careful with believing that. I've never read the book Holy Blood, Holy Grail. Um, Honestly, not the case in my experience. Electric wheelchairs, they're not easier because A, they're bulky and heavy, so they're hard to get into cars. I find during snow and rain, they are very challenging as well because um, like the water gets into the batteries and stuff. I don't find them honestly that and plus I like to get the exercise. Namaste to you as well, Iron Mind. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. We are 2 subscribers away from 3,340 subs. Let's see if we can get there. I did hear about that, Dillis. Um, there you go, Rondo with the scene. You can't always put down links on this, but it looks like that one's working. So, um, honestly, I think Edward Norton did an incredible job in that show, in that movie. Edward Norton was such a good king. Raw oysters, Iron Mind. Raw oysters, I love those. I love seafood in general. I love charcuterie boards so much as well. They're some of my favorites. I also really love anything pickled. I love those as well. So yeah. So Taylor Swift is almost certainly not a Freemason. It's not impossible um, for women to be Freemasons, despite what some say. There is the Order of Women Freemasons. There's many different Masonic groups for women, but Taylor Swift is not a Freemason. Yeshua, Yeshua Mesa, King of Israel. Well, that's kind of a rude thing to say. Why do you waste so much effort on energy on something so meaningless? I don't think that's a very kind thing to say. I am proud to be a Freemason, and it's not meaningless to me. And because it's not meaningless to me, that's good enough. It may be meaningless to you, and that's certainly reasonable, right? You are welcome to consider Freemasonry meaningless, but that doesn't mean it's meaningless to me, right? We need to be respectful of people and the things that bring them joy and happiness. Um, my dad, my dad was a Freemason. He didn't get me into Freemasonry in the sense that he never told me like you're expected to join or you have to join. I just kind of saw it as a kid growing up, saw the good parts of it, saw the parts of it that I really, wanted to emulate, the tolerance, the Christmas parties, the fun of it, and decided to join. Um, what got me to stay and become this active in it is that I love it. Why I love it, who knows? That's like asking why I love my favorite song. It's just something I love. I'm pretty sure I'm already as wrapped up in it as I can be. I don't know how much more wrapped up in it I can be. I talk about it every day on these streams. Iron Mind, I have no idea. I guess we'll see. Who knows? We'll all be dealing with it together, I suppose. So we shall see. Freemasons did not create the USA. There were many Masons who were involved with the USA creation. 13 of the signers of the Declaration were Freemasons, but that's 13 out of 39. So they provided a perspective, certainly a democratic perspective, but like democratic, like not the party, the political system of democracy. But that doesn't mean that they themselves are Freemasons, right? Or sorry, that doesn't make America founded by Freemasons. Um, well, I don't claim it's not a religion. It just is not a religion because there are no beliefs in the way you say it. Like there is no Masonic belief. There's Masonic metaphor and Masonic symbolism, but those aren't beliefs. Those are representations. It's kind of like saying, what are the beliefs of a football player? Other than he loves playing football. He may develop certain beliefs through the act of being a football player, like he'll grow to believe in teamwork and sportsmanship and practice. That's not the same thing as religious beliefs. Having said that, I do try my best to be aware of and supportive of different religious beliefs. I think it's important that we. Del Boy, please hit like and subscribe. Oh, never mind, you've been here before. So I am not in a state. I'm in a province. I'm Canadian, so I am in Ontario. Which state has the largest Masonic presence, though, in um, America? I have no idea. My assumption would probably be whatever state has the highest population. So either New York or California. Usually Freemasonry is correlated to whatever the demographics are within the particular state you find yourself in, right? So if you're in a highly populated state, you'll have more Freemasons. And let's say you're in a state which, I don't know, 70% are Christian, 20% are Muslim, 10% are Jewish, just as a guess or as an example, then 70% of your membership in that state will be Christian, 20% will be Muslim, 10% will be Jewish. I love Canada, Iron Mind. Why are you being cruel to it? I mean, there's a lot of Indians who are in Canada, and that's wonderful. They're a valuable part of Canada. A lot of them are my friends, but it's not a mini anything. It's Canada. It is its own thing, and that's what makes it wonderful. Guten Morgen. I think that means good morning. Welcome, Minotaur. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. John Hancock was a Freemason. Um, I mean, again, 13 of the signers of the Declaration were Freemasons. Um, so I never like to use the term, though, it was founded by Freemasons. I say Freemasonry definitely provided a perspective, an Enlightenment era perspective, which was then brought into kind of America, at least at its earliest stages. Um, no worries, Harry Hawk. No worries at all. By the way, I want to remind everybody, please consider doing a super chat. Even 99-cent super chat helps out big time and will absolutely be of benefit to other people finding this stream. Things are going great. It's been a wonderful 24-hour content marathon. Let's keep it going. Thank you all so much again for being here. Um, Iron Mind, Freemasonry is not political, but I personally don't support Donald Trump, but that's me. I don't speak for every Mason. Um, I know some Masons who support Donald Trump. I've known some who don't. So, um, once again, please consider a super chat, even 99 cents. Believe me, it helps out. It helps the algorithm, promote this channel. Hitting that like and subscribe button if you've not done so already also helps out big time. We are now at 3,340 subs. Thank you. Um, let's give it a bit more time. Let's see who else joins. I'm going to be jumping onto my other streams. The purpose of this is to do streams on multiple channels across multiple venues to grow not just my YouTube channel, which is growing very well, but to also grow my X, my Blue Sky, all that jazz. Using the hashtag 24-hour content marathon. Yes, it was the Waits Experience. It was created by a Freemason. I forget his name, but it was, which is a cool little moment. Again, there have been many Masons historically who were involved in government or had contracts with government, but really since the 1960s, it hasn't been the case. Freemasonry has significantly declined. And even before then, it switched over from, being primarily kind of, if you want to describe it as upper crust, political class to being middle class. The middle class, which is one of the greatest inventions of America ever, when the middle class exploded, so too did Freemasonry, which is a really interesting thing to keep in mind and what that means. Thank you, Harry Hawk. I appreciate that very much. Oh, sure. Truth. We all not all Freemasons think the same. Anyone who tells you that all Freemasons think the same, they don't know what they're talking about. We within Freemasonry very often have differences. Heck, there's been a couple times I thought I might get into a fist fight with Freemasons. But we are brothers, which means even when we clash, even if we fight, we are able to work together. We are able to find, to support one another at the end of the day. And any brothers I've clashed with, we've always managed to come together the next day or the day after and, bury the hatchet and no hard feelings. It's one of the greatest lessons that exists within Freemasonry is that we absolutely have the ability to get along with people with whom we don't always necessarily agree with or even like. You can respect them though. I think one of the issues that exist within Freemasonry is, or not in Freemasonry, but in the world, is this idea of the internet and technology has made it seem as though I can just pick whatever friends I want. Like back in the day, you were limited in whom you could, associate with based on geography or work. I have to get along with my neighbors. I have to spend time with them. I have to get along with my people at work because that's exclusively who I have to get along with. I can't find anybody else and I need to have social connections. Now I can go online, find a community of people who agree exactly with what I say or share all my same opinions and become friends with them online and create this pseudo social relationship. The problem is you then lose the ability to work with people of differing opinions or just be around people of differing opinions and different ideas. Well, I do look like Elmer Fudd. BG, please like and subscribe. Oh, because guys get, I'm sure you've been in those experiences as well, the Waits, where you're talking to somebody and you say something and, they take it the wrong way, or maybe they take it the right way and you're being a jerk and they say something back to you and now and then it's just tensions rise. I mean, find me one place, organization that doesn't have at times, especially when it's all men, because I'm part of the fraternal side of Freemasonry, and there can be testosterone sometimes. There can be, rises in feelings, and how many sports teams have actual fights? How many? I love professional wrestling. How many times do you hear about wrestlers getting into fights in the back and then working it out? I've never actually got into a fight with my brothers, like an actual fist fight, but there were times when passions got pretty high. Although also part of that is, the fact that we love Freemasonry. Those passions are a natural part of it, right? Those passions are a natural part of anything. If you love something, you're going to be passionate about it. And sometimes those passions can lead to, you can get pretty loud about things. Well, sometimes not all of us grow past the teenager phase in terms of maturity, which is okay, makes things fun. Um, We're going to give this another couple minutes because it looks like people are jumping off the stream, which is okay. It's been a great stream. We've had a lot of people joining. Got up to 3,340 subs. I'm going to go on to some other streams shortly. I'm going to keep this 24-hour content marathon going. I have no idea. We have Jewish Freemasons. I don't know the number. It would be, my suspicion is, again, it's going to just correlate with a community. If you're in a community that has a significant or a high Jewish population, the Masonic Lodge will have a higher Jewish population of membership. If you're in a town or community where there is a very small Jewish population, that'll be reflected in membership as well. Freemasonry tends to reflect the demographics of the communities in which it's located. It also tends to reflect the conditions of the communities in which it's located. If the conditions are positive, like economically they're growing, socially they're doing well, then the lodge also tends to do well. What's wrong with me? I don't know, Uncle Cracker. A lot of things might be wrong with me. You got to be more specific though, because I don't know. Again, when you ask, oh, well, you deal with people, Uncle Cracker. If you're going to be on stream, if you're going to be on YouTube, you deal with some very interesting characters, put it that way, which makes it fun. You know, it wouldn't. Why would I want to be on here if I wasn't dealing with the interesting characters, right? Keeps things interesting, keeps things exciting. I am from Winnipeg, born and raised in Winnipeg. So I've known some people from Somalia. They're all good dudes. Um, I had one of my best friends for a time was from Somalia. I really liked him. Really nice guy. I worked with him. I believe he's in Africa at the moment. I think he went back there and is currently working for like an NGO, probably saving the world. I wouldn't doubt it if in a few years he'll be like running the country and making it a lot, making it better. He's a really good dude. So, well, I don't think he's a pirate. He might be fighting to stop the pirates. I could see him doing that for sure. Canada. Yes. God bless Canada. No, I love Canada. Greatest, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Greatest country in the world. Um, I love it. And I do think every Mason should believe that whichever country he or she lives in is the greatest country in the world. I'm a big believer in that. I think we should be cheerleaders for our country, um, as well as cheerleaders for our province or state, as well as cheerleaders for our community, as well as cheerleaders for our Masonic building, as well as cheerleaders for Freemasonry. I do not know what America is, but America is a pretty gay country as well. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Donald, if you're referring to Donald Trump, but that's my opinion for whatever it's worth. So, not everybody's going to agree with me on that, and that's okay. Within Freemasonry, we have many different political opinions. I will say myself, though, I'm definitely not a fan of Donald Trump. Um, I have many concerns about him, to be honest with you, but what can you do? Um, it'll sort itself out. I've always arguing and telling people, and I still believe this. The the political situation in a country is built of sand in that it changes. The fraternal love I have for my American brothers is made of stone. So, well, you don't have to trust me. I hope that you'll consider giving me a super chat anyways, but you don't have to trust me. I would definitely not agree with that. Honestly, this is my opinion. I think Biden was one of the best presidents America ever had. I grade him on a curve because of the mess he inherited. But I still, I'm a big fan of Biden. Well, homeless Bieber, I'm very sorry that you are homeless. Um, I did not think Justin Bieber would ever find himself homeless. Please hit the like and subscribe button nonetheless. If you are literally homeless, I hope that you will find some resources that can assist you. We are now at 3,340 subs. Let's see if we can get over that, get to 3,341. I would very much appreciate it. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I would love to hear it. Honestly, I think, I'm a believer. I thought Justin Bieber had some good music throughout the years. A lot of stuff he did I really liked. Because I'm a Freemason, and the purpose of this channel is to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. And I love talking about it. My goal is to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. So consider doing a super chat, just 99 cents. Helps out big time. Homeless Bieber, no. Freemasonry is not a religion of any sort, so we don't worship the devil, nor do we worship anything. To be a Freemason, you must believe in a supreme being, but that supreme being is up to each individual Mason. We have Muslim Freemasons, Christian, Jewish, Hindu, Sikh, and everything in between. Indigenous, Wiccan. It's not about devil worshipping, despite what some people may say. That's conspiracy theory nonsense online. I've been a Freemason since 2007, so 20 years. I've been to Masonic events around the world. Over 1,000 meetings probably in my Masonic career. And even though sometimes it's a pain in the ass, I still love it. We're going to give it a bit more time. We're going to wait to see who joins. I'm part of doing this as part of a 24-hour content marathon, producing content across a variety of platforms within the 24 hours. Not any, I'll be taking breaks here and there, but I'm using the hashtag 24-hour content marathon and having a great time. Yes, homeless Bieber. That's a really good way to describe it. It is like a fraternity for adults. However, there's also a sorority side. There's the Order of Women Freemasons. There's co-masonry, but fraternity for adults is a really good way to think of it. It is not like the Skull and Bones, because Skull and Bones is a college fraternity. Now, I don't know a ton of stuff about Skull and Bones, but to my knowledge, it is a college fraternity. There are no children here. There's a cat, and the cat's doing well. I am a childless person. I have a cat, though, and my cat is doing just fine. The question you need to be asking yourself, 1000 Corbin, is can you find the like and subscribe button? That's the question you need to be asking yourself right now. A lot of different reasons. Part of it is because of conspiracy theories created by Adolf Hitler. And the Nazis tying Freemasonry to Judaism as a way to attack both. That's a big part of it. When we were, as Freemasons, developing our rituals in the 16th, 17th, 18th century, we did borrow from a lot of different mythologies, theologies, symbols, historical symbols, including some from Judaism, right? Like King Solomon, who's an important part of Judaism and Christianity. And the Middle East was kind of an important figure for those symbols as well, but primarily conspiracy theory nonsense. Rituals I don't know what that means. Ritual has been a part of human history since the dawn of time, both in North America and South America. So I'm not sure what you mean by that, 1000 Corbin. I mean, ritual is a way to create bonds, right? There's two ways to create bonds between people: shared knowledge or shared experience. Freemasonry and rituals provide that, and Freemasonry provides those that as well. Um, the entire world thinks they know the private elements of Freemasonry. Whether they do or not, who knows? That's a very different question to ask, right? Just because you think you know, until you join, you can never know for sure. A Freemason is a member of a Masonic lodge, a member of Freemasonry, which itself is a social club that has existed for over 300 years, a civic organization, or if you want to term it this way, a fraternity for adults. Uh, I don't see how it could matter, so I'm not going to answer that. It's the same reason I don't answer people when they ask me for my sexual orientation or my religion. It's not an issue for the question of, let's talk about Freemasonry. So there you go. Well, that's not a good reason to join, um, Dill. I'm going to call you Dill as Piler 951. That's not a good reason to join. The arcane knowledge is not important. What matters in Freemasonry is the bonds of brotherhood and the belief in making a better community through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. I don't know enough about Scientology to say. I have no issues with it personally. Like, if it brings people comfort and happiness, um, and like a sense of belonging or like religious kind of peace, then nothing but respect for it, I guess. I don't know. It's not something I can speak on. I don't see why a Scientologist couldn't be a Freemason. I don't see why that would be an issue. I believe they believe in a supreme being, but I would need to, know a little bit more about it. So, um, it's a very small percentage. I mean, and I don't know any Freemasons running the country. I don't even know what it would mean to quote unquote run the country. Uh, we are still doing well with our subscribers. We've got a bunch this stream. Thank you so much for that. I do hope anybody watching this who hasn't done so yet will subscribe. We're going to be switching streams shortly. The purpose of this, well, Smelter, I mean, if Xenu is their supreme being, then that's cool. Freemasonry has nothing to do with Bohemian Grove. That's some Alex Jones baloney. I'm not going to judge anybody's religious beliefs, right? Tony1902. I cannot deal this because I've never been to Bohemian Grove. It's not a Masonic thing. Um, and we got Tony, looks like quoting a biblical verse. We have many Freemasons who are Christian. I'm sure would be able to recognize that quote and understand it. I'm not a Christian myself. Homeless Bieber, I mean, there really isn't. This idea that there's some deeper or inner circle or something to that effect, that's just not the case, right? That's not what Freemasonry is. There really is no secret, deeper society. Freemasonry ultimately is a civic or civil institution. Tony, good for you. Nothing's wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a Christian. I think it's awesome. I believe in a supreme being. I would not describe myself as Christian, unless, except for maybe in a very cultural sense, in that I understand kind of it's the religion with which I'm most familiar. I hope you'll hit the like button. I hope you'll hit the subscribe button. Um, I'd very, very much appreciate it, and I thank you for being here. Well, too evil to hope. I appreciate that, although I'm not sure I like that term yet. I may or may not become a Christian. I don't know what the future is going to hold, right? Who knows? I could become a Muslim one day or Jewish. Like I have no plans right now to become particularly religious, though I do always do my best to have nothing but respect for the religious beliefs of my brothers as well as those on the chat. Um, I mean, a lodge definitely has social clubs in it, but it's not like a secret part of it. It's kind of like an office will have like a birthday club, right? I remember watching an episode of The Office where the whole bit was like Andy wanted to join some super exclusive club in the office, and he was like, the Finer Things Club is the club I want to be part of the most. But then if I can't get into that, I'm going to be part of the birthday party commission. And if I can't be part of that, I'm going to be part of like Kevin's band. So every organization and group will create within itself additional clubs and groups and kind of subsets. I mean, I can't speak for what Masons generally believe in or don't believe in. I don't believe in demons personally. I don't believe in the supernatural as a general rule. I mean, I would need to know more about agnostic Christian. I always say to people, if they say, I can't join Freemasonry because I don't believe in a supreme being, I always say, don't prejudge it because a lot of people would describe me potentially as an atheist based on my beliefs, which is I believe the supreme being is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through science and technology and geometry. But what you would do is if you're interested in joining, you go to the Masonic Lodge, you express yourself as an agnostic Christian, what that means, and you go from there. Well, I'd rather not die. Having said that, Dillis, it sounds like you may have had some pretty significant medical challenges. The fact that you've overcame them, nothing but respect to you. I hope that you will, though, speak with a doctor if you do ever find yourself dealing with any of these challenges in future. I'd rather you not die, though. I'd rather you stick around. That at least would be my hope. I think Gnosticism, I mean, Freemasonry is certainly this idea of Gnosticism as in this type of hidden knowledge. I mean, Freemasonry kind of borrowed some parallels with that. Primarily, though, if you had to define what is Freemasonry all about, it is, or what organization or group or philosophy most influenced Freemasonry. Ultimately, it was stone masonry and stone Masonic guilds. No, we are not trying to conquer the world, too evil to hope. If anything, we are trying to conquer ourselves in the sense of conquer the rough parts of ourselves and put them into perfection. We'll never succeed completely because nobody can ever get themselves to a perfect state, but we can try our best, right? We can try our best. So I think that's important to remember. It's about trying one's best. And you try your best, you conquer through things like discipline and dedication. We do not love the New World Order. Let's give it another couple minutes. Don't forget to consider doing a super chat. I'm going to be jumping onto another stream soon, so I hope to see you all there. I'm going to be going on to some other of my YouTube channels, including my YouTube Clips channel. Honestly, we don't have any arch nemesis in terms of groups. We in Freemasonry are vegetarians in that we don't want no beef with nobody. However, the arch nemesis of Freemasons, honestly, is a good television show or anything that keeps somebody in their house and not wanting to go to lodge. Crummy weather, how comfortable the couch is, societal issues that, encourage people to work longer hours, in some cases for less money than their parents made, or longer hours for equal money, giving them less energy and less desire to, be out and about. No, the church may have viewed us as its nemesis, but I love, we have no issues with the church. That's on their side. Freemasonry was a big part of the Enlightenment age. That was one of the, biggest things of Freemasonry is it was in some ways, it was a child of the Enlightenment age. So yeah, Voltaire was famously a Freemason, made a Freemason 1 month before he died. In an interesting little side note. Certainly the rational materialist. I think deist is probably the best term for it. I think that could work. The rational is the key element, so I'd capitalize the R in rational because that's the key quality. I think rationality is a kind of supreme being in its own right. It may not be a conscience, quote unquote, supreme being, but it does have it desires, right? It desires us to act a certain way. The Stoics would say in accordance with nature. So I think deistic, rationalist, materialist would be pretty valuable, pretty accurate. Materialist is probably not as much because I do believe there's an element to us that is beyond the material. Um, like, I don't think love or consciousness can be ascribed as a purely materialistic phenomena, but I think it's valuable. Hitler was not a Freemason. Hitler was actually very anti-Freemasonry. He put many Freemasons in concentration camps. Um, wow, Brandon. I don't know what happened there, but if you got an X-ray of your rib cage, and if you are in a wheelchair because you got injured by a firecracker, that sucks. I hope that you're feeling better. I hope the X-ray came back good. I know what it's like to have a damaged rib cage, broken ribs. It hurts. It hurts. We probably do. I'm not aware of one, but I wouldn't doubt that there's one that exists. What isn't in the metaverse at this point? Do Masons believe in the metaphysical? You'd have to ask each Mason. I personally am not one who necessarily believes in the supernatural or the metaphysical, with the exception of human consciousness, which I think is something that is beyond a material, like it's beyond the brain, but the material of the brain. But that's the one exception. Um, well, welcome, Brandon French. No worries about the gist trolling. I appreciate you being here. I mean, I wouldn't use the term powerful. I mean, I don't like that term. I don't know what it would mean precisely, like in what context. Like politically powerful, probably George Washington. Economically powerful, I mean, one of the Rothschilds was a Freemason. He was quite rich. Do you mean powerful like within Freemasonry? In theory, we're all brothers. So you could be the richest man in the world or the president, but when you're in a Masonic lodge, you're a brother and not any more powerful than anybody else. I mean, for a year, in some ways, you could argue the worshipful master is the most powerful Freemason in his lodge. But even then, he's not there to wield power. He's there to make sure, procedures are followed correctly. Too evil to hope. I don't know enough about Scientology to say. But I know, like, I've never met a Scientologist who's a Freemason. I don't see why a Scientologist couldn't join Freemasonry, but I've never met one. Too much truth, too much. So Freemasonry is not hazardous to one's soul. Nobody has to join Freemasonry. If it's not for you, that's awesome. No concerns. Find what is for you and do it. But if you're concerned about joining because you're worried about the state of your soul, you don't need to be, will be fine. Freemasonry is not hazardous to one's soul. I don't think so. But Smelter, like, I don't know how it would work. Like, there's nothing stopping some random dude from creating a Masonic temple in the metaverse and saying it's Freemasonry. And then, I mean, I guess you could join it depending on what their rules are. You would not be able to use that admission or that joining of the Metaverse Lodge to, visit lodges IRL in real life. But, Well, the Lodge of England, I mean, United Grand Lodge of England, I know they have an internet lodge. I don't know if they have a metaverse lodge. And if they do, I have no idea how the process works. If you need to be a Mason already to join, if you can petition there. I have no idea how it works, but that's really cool. My assumption is, this is just an assumption, you would have to first join a lodge IRL and then join the Metaverse Lodge. At least that's my guess. We are not too evil to hope. We're not trying to bring about any religious or theological figures. Again, maybe, but I don't know how it would work. You'd probably have to be a Mason in real life first, so you'd probably have to attend at least one meeting of a lodge to get your initiation, and then maybe you could affiliate with the Metaverse Lodge. Um, you'd be missing out on a lot, I would think. Um, a lot of the best parts of Freemasonry are being there in person, but yeah, so you're right. Metaverse Lodge number 10191. It doesn't shock me. It absolutely doesn't shock me, but I'm not sure how the application process would work. Um, well, I mean, you could join a lodge anywhere, right? You could join in Canada and then affiliate with them if they're chartered and recognized. Freemasons launch lodge. This was April 3rd, 2025. No, we were not too evil to hope. No, we were not. Despite what the conspiracy theorists may say about us. Let's see. I don't know how to join it, but it's interesting. We have never attacked either the real figure or the theological religious symbol of Jesus Christ. Freemasonry is not about attacking. That's not the point, right? Freemasonry is not about attacking anyone. So you need to keep that in mind. I do not believe Atlantis is real. I don't know. I mean, I have no doubt that some Freemasons were involved in the French Revolution, just like some Masons were involved in the American Revolution. But they were on both sides. In the American Revolution, right? King George and George Washington were both Freemasons, right? Um, let's not attack anybody. How about that? Let's not attack anybody. But that may have been not because they were Masons, but because they were part of the revolution, right? To my knowledge, in the revolution, a lot of people found themselves getting attacked by a lot of different people. Primarily, it was, the poor classes attacking the richer classes, let them eat cake, that whole thing. I mean, what I can say is I've been a Freemason for 20 years. I've um, never heard anybody, and I've been to, by the way, I've been to, um, Masonic meetings around the world. No one in any Masonic meeting I've ever been to have ever, said anything negative about either the Catholic Church or anyone's religion, nor should they. They're Freemasons. They should not be reviling anybody's religion. I will say, I know the Grand Orient of France was anti-church, but Grand Orient isn't even recognized by many Masonic bodies. You need to keep that in mind as well, right? I'm not suggesting that there haven't been times where Masonic bodies or Masons themselves were anti-church. I'm suggesting it's not an official policy of Freemasonry to be anti-church. Um, and I've never experienced any anti-church sentiment in any Masonic event, either publicly during ritual or after the ritual is finished. Um, I do not know what the emerald tablets are. Well, I mean, they can be the largest. That doesn't mean anything. I would suggest probably not. I would suggest the largest would probably be New World Freemasonry, though I'd have to double check that on the numbers. In America in the 50s, there were 4 million Freemasons. I think actually 5 million Freemasons. 4 or 5. I think actually, no, it was 4 million Freemasons in America at the time. Doesn't get much bigger than that. Hello, Silence and Violence. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. Well, not Jeremy Renner. I hope that you are a subscriber. Freemasonry is a civic or community organization that has existed for over 300 years and evolved from stone Masonic guilds. The simplest way to understand it is think of it as a very much a formalized and historical guys' night out, where instead of getting together with your friends and going to the bar, you get together with your friends at a Masonic building and you both administer the organization so it continues. Like with any fraternity, there are bills to pay, there's work to be done, and then you socialize and enjoy one another's company. That's what it is. We do not worship an image or idol. That's not, Freemasonry is not a worshiping thing, right? We don't worship anything other than the individual Masons may have their own religious or theological beliefs. Secret societies are fine. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of secret societies myself. I prefer societies that have private elements, which is what Freemasonry is. Apparently, you're a mod, Lou Jones. It's been a while since I've seen you. Well, thank you, not Jeremy Renner. The other thing that is dope is hitting the like and subscribe button. To be one, ask one. So what you got to do is find a Masonic Lodge in your area and speak with them and express your interest in joining. That's a Ptolemy thing, the music of the spheres, right? That's an astronomy thing from back in the day. Everybody who's watching this, please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. I'm going to be ending this stream shortly. We are in the midst of the 24-hour content marathon. I'm producing content across a variety of platforms. And I hope you guys will find me with the hashtag 24HR content marathon. Number 2, the number 4 HR content marathon. I mean, you're welcome, Jeremy Renner. I hope that you are able to get back into the swing of things. Keep in mind, with Freemasonry, it's not, it can be wonderful and a lot of people absolutely love it, but ultimately, it's no different than anything else. It's not going to inherently get you back in the swing of things. You have to put the work in. It's kind of like guys who say, I'm going to join a gym to get myself in better shape. Being a member of the gym is not going to automatically get you back into shape. You have to put the work in yourself. So don't put too much on Freemasonry. At the end of the day, it's up to you. And whether you try to get back into the swing of things through Freemasonry or through sports or through joining a knitting club or reading, it's you. And it's what you're willing to put into it. Really, what you're willing to put into yourself, more so than anything else. Thank you, Jeremy, though. That's incredibly kind of you. I am at 3,341 subs, which is absolutely amazing. So I greatly, greatly appreciate it. We are going to be, I think, ending this stream in just a couple moments. Again, I'm doing content across a variety of platforms. So you'll find me in a variety of different spots. You're welcome, not Jeremy, and I appreciate you being here. It's incredibly kind of you. This channel, again, this is not an official Masonic channel. This is me talking about Freemasonry and why I love it. You can try, but I don't think you can join. I think you have to join a lodge in real life first. I don't know a ton about Rosicrucianism, but I'm not going to condemn it. I've, in general, had no issues with Rosicrucians. Hello, Samantha Watkins. Thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe. I am not the spokesperson for Freemasonry. There is no spokesperson for Freemasonry. Individual lodges or grand lodges can have press officers, for example, but that's not the same thing as being a spokesperson for Freemasonry. That is being a spokesperson for your specific lodge or your specific jurisdiction. There is no single governing body or single voice which represents Freemasonry, right? You need to keep that in mind. You're absolutely right, Silence and Violence. California Masons, they have just a bunch of awesome social media stuff in general. They have been absolutely crushing it, to their credit. So, nothing but respect to them. I hope they keep up the great work. I love cherry Coke, but I don't drink it because it's hard to find here. But I love cherry. I drink way too much Coca-Cola. But if it was ever my last meal, I would definitely have a Coke with it. That's for sure. I do not know what the sacrifices are to which we refer. We in Freemasonry sacrifice our time. Some of us sacrifice our time, and that's about it. So sorry to disappoint you if you were expecting something else, but no, we sacrifice our time exclusively. Um, well, we've done this for about 2 hours. Let's give this another 4 minutes. Then we'll end this stream. But you can find me on other channels. Um, I'm not going to be ending this yet because this is a 24-hour content marathon. So that means doing a lot of stuff. It's fun though. I enjoy it. It's good times. I don't believe in supernaturalism. Cyclic, welcome back. Thank you for being here. I'm having a great night. I hope you'll find me on some other channels as I'm posting content, whether it be streaming or reels on Facebook. So yeah, find me there. Um, let's give it a few more. Let's see who else joins. In another 3 minutes. The Barnyard 88. Hello, the Barnyard. I hope you're doing well. I'm going to assume you were born in 1988 is what I'm going to choose to believe. I don't know if you've been on the stream before or not. The name looks familiar to me. So I feel like you might have been in the past. Um, I'm doing well. I have never seen any Masons, quote unquote, call on dark spirits. That's not what, I mean, I don't believe in that anyway. So if I saw a Mason um, calling on dark spirits, I would say that's a bunch of baloney. And nothing's going to happen. But I've never seen any Masons. I've seen Masons do like supernatural investigations and paranormal investigations as part of like Halloween events. Usually it's not the Masons that are doing it, they're bringing in paranormal investigators to do it. Um, Hitler was not a Masonic agent. Hitler hated the Freemasons. He famously taught against them. Going back to what I've said, I will always choose, if I can, to trust the best intentions of people. When I see 88, I know on social media it can mean something, but I'm going to choose to believe the Barnyard was born in 1988. If he is a fan of Hitler, then that's very concerning because Hitler was obviously a monster, but it's a whole other can of tuna. That's really cool, Light Free. I've seen many Masonic gravestones, but I've never seen that written down. I've never seen that engraved, but that could be certainly a Masonic saying, right? We talk about being on the square. It's a metaphor that we in Freemasonry use, which means to be honest and just and truthful and all that jazz. So that's really cool. Um, Whenever I'm visiting a new town, I always try to stop off at a graveyard to look for Masonic gravestones. It's something I'm really proud of, not even proud of doing, just something I feel it's important that I try to do. To remember my brothers, right? When I find myself in the ground, I'd hope that some Masons would come and visit me sometimes. Well, that is a bunch of baloney as well. Caesar, the Masonic compass is not the mark of the beast. The Masonic square and compasses have been around for hundreds of years. It's this here. It represents, the square and compasses are both symbols of stonemasons that we adopted for metaphorical or, symbolic purposes. I'm well, Dixon777. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well also. JCR, welcome as well. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button also. We're going to be ending this stream soon. I'm going to be going to some other streams. The whole point of this was to do as much different streams as I can. I've done stuff on Twitch, on X, across the board, and it's been a blast. I hope your day goes well, Dixon. I hope your day goes well. Yes, everyone like and sub. I've never tried actual stonemasonry. I probably shouldn't because I'm so clumsy and I can't build anything. Any stonemasonry I tried to do would fall apart and probably crush the person foolish enough to be underneath my handiwork. But yeah, I'd like to do more practical stone Masonic stuff. I think one of my biggest concerns is we're not doing enough in Freemasonry to show respect to our stone Masonic ancestors. I believe he was Caesar. I don't know for sure. I mean, many writers have been. Mark Twain was a Freemason. Edgar Allan Poe, I don't know if he was or not. I know he wrote a story in which Freemasons were featured, but I don't think we know for sure if he was or not. Oh, he was. Okay, so he was in fact. All right. I thought he might have been, but I wasn't sure. But I mean, Mark Twain is always the one I think of as a famous Freemason. I do not, Truth. I mean, evolution and genetics in just a long time. You'd have to ask every individual Freemason, Truth. No two Freemasons will have the same view on that. That's like asking what are football players' understanding of life, right? That's not a thing that every Mason has to decide for himself or herself how they understand life. I tend to understand life as, I think whenever I think of life, I think of one of my favorite quotes. Things want to live. Life ultimately is a desire to live. And yeah, that is, a desire to live and a desire to grow and a desire to perpetuate oneself through offspring. Same thing. There is no Masonic understanding of creation. I would think that in most cases, every Mason will revert to, not revert's the right term, but will defer to their religious beliefs and any creation stories therein. I have a tendency to, I believe in evolution and yeah, so I believe in evolution is what I would say as to creation. I mean, Brenda Rigby, I mean, it depends on when they were built and what the building materials were. I find very often, especially like in Canada and the United States, it's limestone. Detroit Masonic Temple famously needed so much limestone, it actually purchased shares and ownership of a limestone quarry just to make sure there was enough. And apparently they sent some over here to Windsor, which was quite nice of them. Minty, I mean, you do it because you love it. Listening to your favorite song doesn't make you money, but you still listen to it because you love it. I do it because I love it. At the end of the day, that's why you do anything, right? If you're doing something exclusively because you want to make money, then, you're not doing it right. That should never be the goal. I don't know if he hated Freemasons. Some people thought he was a Freemason, Caesar. Obviously, George Washington was. But to my knowledge, he was not a Freemason. I think anybody who's claimed it, there's not any actual proof. So, and I'm one who doesn't believe he was a Freemason. Whether he hated them or not, I mean, um, he certainly, I think, liked George Washington, who was a Freemason and very active Freemason. So, I don't know about that. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for being here. I hope everybody's having an excellent night. These 24-hour content marathons are a lot of fun. They're very exhausting, but they're a lot of fun. No, Napoleon actually, Caesar liked Freemasons. His brother-in-law was a Freemason, and Napoleon may himself have been a Freemason. You are getting a lot of incorrect information. You need to be really careful about where you're getting and what you're seeing and what information you are taking in, right? You need to be really careful about that. Because Freemasonry is not, Napoleon was actually pretty supportive of Freemasonry. Well, he may have called us a pile of imbeciles. That doesn't mean he was hatred of Freemasonry. A lot of powerful leaders were Freemasons, but a lot of powerful leaders were not Freemasons. So you need to keep that in mind, right? For every powerful leader who was a Freemason, I can show you a powerful, I can show you, a powerful leader who was not a Freemason. Yes, Lionel Richie is a Freemason to my knowledge. So he appointed his brother Joseph as the Grand Master of Masons in France. His father and his brothers were both Freemasons. He officially protected Freemasons, appointed Joseph Bonaparte as Grand Master. Under his rule, Freemasonry grew significantly in France. So he may have viewed us as a pile of imbeciles, but he certainly was supportive of it enough to see it grow. That quote of a pile of imbeciles, I don't know if I believe it or not. I think if he did think that, his actions would betray his views. Some are in stone, Brenda. Like I said, Detroit limestone, Windsor limestone, and brick. But many times it was, Norfolk limestone, Scottish Rite and Bay City limestone, Toronto limestone. So, I don't think he was. He could have been Idi Amin, but I don't think he was. If he was, he certainly was not fulfilling Masonic ideals, that's for sure. Well, newer ones, I don't know the last time a new Masonic building has been built. Like, certainly many Masons will move from their buildings into a newer building. It could be, oftentimes it's a smaller building. It's like a house. Like in Vaughan, for example, with additions. I was even at a Masonic Lodge once. There was an old farmhouse Masonic building. It depends on the needs of the lodge and what they can afford, usually. But many times they are not done in brick, unfortunately. Not unfortunately, it's just Masonic buildings are, built based on different designs and different plans and things of that nature. I don't know the last new, as in like a new purpose-built Masonic building. I know plenty of lodges that have moved into new buildings, but those are pre-built and then they just move into them. So they're basically whatever the design was of the original build, that's what they're moving into. A lot of reasons. Primarily, at the time when Freemasonry was first formed and developing, there were more opportunities for men to be social, especially upper crust and socialized, than women. And that's just the way it was, right? It was still like a woman's place is more in the home. And then it just grew from there. I mean, Freemasonry for men had a couple hundred years to kind of head start on the Order of Women Freemasonry. Freemasonry does not go by Mormonism now. Mormonism is a religion. It occupies a completely different space than Freemasonry, which is a civic or community group. Um, We're going to give this another, let's say, couple minutes. I was going to end this stream earlier, but then a whole bunch of people jumped on, which I very, very much appreciate. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. I mean, again, I'm not so sure I would say they don't have brick buildings. Windsor Masonic Temple is brick. I think I don't think that's a hard and fast rule. There's one in the Philippines that's brick. It's a little bit more complicated. Some are not. Well, Joseph Smith was a Mason, and certainly when he was developing the Mormon faith, he borrowed from Freemasonry. We'll use the term borrowed to be polite, but that doesn't mean that like Mormonism is a child of Freemasonry. Rather, what it means is in developing his religion, Joseph Smith borrowed from Freemasonry. They still, at the end of the day, occupy two different spaces. They occupy two different spaces within the culture, within the community. One is that of a religion, the other is that of a civic or community group. Well, Queen Elizabeth's husband was a Freemason, as was her father, as was his speech therapist from the King's Speech. But yeah, I mean, King George was a Freemason. There have been many members of the many members of the British royal family, as well as other royal families that have been Freemasons. Oh, there is Samantha Watkins. Welcome, Samantha Watkins. Could you hit the like and subscribe button? I'd very much appreciate it. I think if you're new to the stream, but your name does seem familiar. Sydney, Australia has an incredible Masonic building. It's one of the best ones. It's beautiful. I've never been there in person, but I've seen pictures of it. It looks absolutely gorgeous. And I do want to thank everybody for being here. All right, we think we're going to end this stream. I would not say much more. Civic organization, civic institution is what it is at its core. You then have the addition of ritual, symbolism, tradition, charity, the entire umbrella and the family, including like Eastern Star, for example. But when you boil it all down, it's about being with people you like and spending time with them. And, if nothing else, that's the most important thing in life. That's what we all want. No, we do not summon any creatures, including Baphomet. And I don't believe in summoning anyway. So if I ever saw a Freemason summoning Baphomet, I would think they were very silly people. But we do not. Baphomet has nothing to do with Freemasonry. All right, guys, thank you all so much. This has been very fun. I'm sure I'll see you all soon. I'm not ending my content. I'm ending this stream. I'll be on some others soon. Talk to you guys all soon. All right, bye.